It's 10 o'clock and it's time for the council to be in session.
Hey, I was just looking at, I don't know. And it's the yes.
I'll talk to him. Is that what you want?
Hi, I'm sorry. Yeah, Helen went to go talk to Sandy.
Okay, thanks, Dave. So that's all you need is a clerk.
It's 15 minutes after 10, and we have Mr. Elatorre, Mr. Bernson, Ms. Goldberg, Mr. Ridley Thomas, Mrs. Walters. We have 6 members present. We need 4 more for a quorum. Sergeant, would you see if you can find the other? Mrs. Chick, Mr. Fear, Ms. Galanter, Mr. Hernandez, Mr. Holden. We have 9 members present. We need 1 for a quorum. Mr. Savornich is here. Call the roll.
Alatorre, Burnson, Shakespeare, Galante, Goldberg, Hernandez, Holden, Miskowski, Ridley Thomas, Warnick, Wax, Walters, Ferraro, 10 members present in the quorum, Mr. President.
Okay, the council will please come to order. This is a meeting of the City Council for the City of Los Angeles on the 23rd day of June, 1999. There are 15 council districts in the city. The regular meeting days are Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. We are currently being viewed by cable subscribers throughout the Los Angeles area on Channel 35, and we're also being monitored by council phone. The first order of business.
Approval of the minutes.
All right, Mr. Burnson moves, Ms. Galanter second. There's no objections, unanimous vote. The next item.
Commendatory resolutions for approval.
There's no objections, unanimous vote. The next item.
Before beginning the regular agenda, Mr. President, you have several items to continue. Item number 4 is to be continued to July 21st.
All right, is there any objections to continue item 4 to July 21st? Hearing none, that will be the order.
Item number 7 to be continued to July 21st.
There are no objections, unanimous vote.
Item number 9, Councilmember Swarnish request to be continued to July 28th. Excuse me. The applicant consents to continuance to July 28th.
There's no objections, unanimous vote.
Item number 15, Councilmember Swarnish request to be continued to June 29th.
There's no objections, unanimous vote.
Next item, Mr. President, are items noticed for public hearings. Item number 1 is the Planning and Land Use Management Committee report.
What do we have, 1 through 9 public hearing items?
1 through 9, yes.
Anybody in the audience wants to be heard on any of those items? 4 has been continued, 7's been continued, 9's been continued. So, anybody want to be heard on any of those items? Seeing none, the public hearing's closed on those items. All right, we have item number 1. Is there any discussion on that item? If not, prepare the roll on item 1. Tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
That is approved. Forthwith on that. The next item is an ordinance. Let's hold that on the desk. We are expecting 12. Next item.
Item number 3, I need a motion from the floor to receive and file.
All right, Mr. Burnson moves. Any discussion? If not, prepare the roll to receive and file. Tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
That is approved. Next item.
Items 5 and 6 are both building and safety assessments.
Any discussion on those? 5 and 6? If not, prepare the roll. Tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
That is approved. Next item.
Item number 8 is a public convenience or necessity for alcohol sales off-site consumption. I need a motion to deny the application.
Mrs. Chick? Is that,
It's in Mrs. Walters' district.
oh, it's Mrs. Waller's district?
Yes.
All right,
And I move that this application be denied.
okay. Any discussion on that? If not, prepare the roll. Tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
That is approved. Next item.
Next item, items for which public hearings have been held, items 10 through 22.
17 is called special. Any other specials? 10 through 22. Any other specials? If not, 10 and 11 are ordinances, we'll hold those, but 12, 13, 14, 16, 18, 19 through 22, prepare the roll, tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Those are approved. Forthwith on 19. Forthwith on 19. Next item.
Next item, Mr. President, items for which public hearings have not been held, items 23 through 35, through 45. Item 23 is a bid that was opened this morning in the CAO's office, and the CAO has prepared a resolution for council to adopt, awarding the bids to BT Alex Brown in an aggregate principal amount of $25 million with a true interest cost of 3.3121%, and to Solomon Smith Barney in an aggregate principal amount of $165.5 million with a true interest cost of 3.34 3.43%.
That's on item 20.
Item 23.
All right, Mr. Alatorre, Mr. Alatorre moves on 23. Prepare the roll. Tabulate the vote.
11 eyes.
Okay, that 24 through 45, we have cards on 39. We'll call that special.
And also, I need a motion from the floor to receive and file items 30, 31, and 34. They are REAP items.
Okay, Mr. Savornich moves. No objections. Those will be the order. All right. Any specials by council members? 45 is called special. Any other specials? Mr. Burnson, what did you call? 35 and 36? Okay. Any other specials?
Item 39, Mr. President.
38 is
cards on
called
it.
special. Huh? Which one, Mr. Burr?
I think you have cards on item 39.
Oh, yeah, we have called that special already. Okay, what do we have now? Ordinances 24, 25, and 26. We'll hold those on the desk. So we have 27 through 44, with the exception of 30, 31, 34, 35, 36, 38, and 39. Prepare the roll. Tabulate the vote.
10 eyes.
Those are approved. Next item.
Next item, Mr. President, is the closed session you want to hold on the desk.
Yes.
Item 47 on the continued agenda is the item for which public hearing has been held.
Any discussion on item 47? Any discussion on 47? If not, prepare the roll, tabulate the vote.
10 eyes.
That is approved. Okay, members of the council, we have a lot of cards on 39, and it is a public hearing item. And Mr. Alatorre,
Can we have, this has been heard in the past several times. And maybe if we can do is have a 10-minute public hearing on each side and see how we progress from there.
I'll second that.
okay, is there any objection to a 10-minute public hearing on each side? 39, on 39. We call it 30. Forthwith on item 44. Okay, would you set the timer for 10 minutes, please? All right, Ross Valencia, and then Diane Tarango. Okay, whatever you say. What is your name?
My name is Diana Tarango,
Yeah,
and I reside at 3409 Michigan Avenue. I've been a resident of 3409 Michigan Avenue for 64 years. I work for Dart Warehouse for Rod Dato. I've been working for him for 29 years. So my roots run deep in East Los Angeles. And at the present time, I'm going to be addressing this to our councilman, Mr. Richard Alatorre, and I ask for his respect to sit down and listen to me.
Please,
because what I have to say...
Address it to the council,
Okay.
please.
First of all, I would like to thank the council for your consideration in the October meeting where you denied this motion. And President Ferraro, council people, the problem at the Mercado has continuously done nothing but harm our community. We have several groups here opposing the zone change. We have the Mothers of East Los Angeles. We have the members of the Neighborhood Watch, Hillside Village Property, City Terrace homeowners. So obviously, it is an issue that is affecting us all, not only just the residents within the area. Obviously, Mr. Alatorre is still lobbying for his motion, but I am very, very upset at the fact that the council in October voted not to have the zone change. Mr. Alatorre claimed he was in the hospital, and I really am sorry for his ill health. But if he had wanted to, he could have postponed this hearing, but he decided to let it go. And I think Mr. Alatorre should respect his colleagues in the fact that they did not overturn this. They denied the zone change. So why is Mr. Alatorre all of a sudden decided to bring it back to the floor? I really feel so bad, Councilman Alatorre, that you know the situation at the Mercado. You've been there, you live it. Why in God's name would you let something like this come back to the floor? It has done nothing but cause traffic in our area. It has nothing but disrupted our lives. It has brought nothing but an awful bad influence into the neighborhood. The Mercado at one time was supposed to be an open marketplace. The gentleman that bought it had the first floor, the second floor, the third floor. He's got all that with vendors. Why would he want to increase it in the back of his building? His building has enough to sustain all the vendors. Why would you want to increase it? And with his track record, if you increase and change the zone change in back of the building, council people, it's going to continue and it's going to go into Lorena Street. He's already destroyed the neighborhood on Lorena Street. He has nothing but parking lots there. We have buildings there that are in between parking lot. How can you in good conscience have this kind of display? The man is a bad neighbor and a bad businessman. And Mr. Alatorre and council members, I beg of you, please deny this motion. I've lived there too long. My roots are deep, and my concern is for the residents of East Los Angeles and for the improvement of our neighbors and our lives. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, Brad Turgan and Dr. Fred Weissman. That we only have 10 minutes, you know, so, and half of it is already gone. Ross Valencia, you going to speak now?
Yes, Mr. President. You know, I'm honored to be in the presence of you men and women, but I'm totally disgusted with the turn of events that have happened here over the past few months. I've been a resident of the Boyle Heights area for 70 years. When I was married, at 21 years old, I bought my home in Boyle Heights. I still live there in the same house. I raised 5 children in that community. Proud to say it, happy to say it, but displeased with what's happening now. Displeased because this particular business facility has been mismanaged for many years now and is still being mismanaged. And instead of enhancing our community, it's downgrading it. And if you reverse your previous decision, you're just helping, again, pile junk and crap, if you pardon the expression, into that Boyle Heights community. We're not only sick of it, we're totally disgusted and ask you to maintain your position once again. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you. All right, Supervisor Gloria Molina. Well, she's only have 10 minutes, so what is your name, please?
Okay. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Mary Lou Trevis. I am the new president of the Mothers of East LA. We were incorporated since 1985. MELA, as an environmental justice organization, Mothers of East LA is committed to improve the quality of life in our community. The Mercadito, by selling illegal pharmaceuticals, put our children's life at risk. This goes against what the MELA organization stands for. Our priority has always been to protect the children in our community. Allowing the Mercadito to expand their business is like turning our backs against our children. I sympathize with the families present here. My families were crop pickers and very poor, but they didn't break the law in order to survive. We ask that the City Council give our children hope for a better future. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, City Council members. My name is Sachi Hamai, and I am Chief of the Inspection and Audit Division for the Department of Health Services, County of Los Angeles. The Department of Health Services is not in support of the zoning changes that will increase the commercial activity at the El Mercado. Since October 1998, the department has investigated 12 individual vendors on 3 occasions. Each inspection has resulted in the arrest of individuals who are illegally selling pharmaceutical drugs. How does the illegal sale of pharmaceutical drugs relate to the zoning changes? In general, the department's investigations have identified repetitive illegal activities occurring within the El Mercado. By approving the expansion of the business only allows for additional illegal activities to occur. This is evidenced by the following. After the October 1998 investigation, the owner volunteered to hire an alleged pharmacist to conduct periodic inspections. However, based on 2 subsequent investigations by the health department, this has not deterred or mitigated this activity. For example, all of the subsequent investigations by the health department since October 1998 have resulted in an arrest. In addition, after the October 98 investigations, the owner and the public relations manager assured the health department that any vendors caught selling pharmaceuticals illegally would be evicted from the El Mercado. However, since October 1998, 3 of the individuals arrested were repeat offenders, which means they were never evicted as previously committed by the owner and the public relations manager. We are aware that the Planning Commission has also placed a condition which states that the owner will voluntarily prohibit the vendors from illegally dispensing pharmaceuticals. However, the department has 2 concerns with this condition. Number 1, this condition is meaningless because it is already state law. And number 2, you are asking the owner to police his own facility, which I earlier indicated has not been effective. Finally, in a point of clarification, during the most recent Planning Commission meeting, testimony was brought forth indicating that the captain of the Hollenbeck station did not have any crimes in their database related to the El Mercado. However, this was clarified by a LAPD task force member who testified that since this is a county-wide task force, all of the arrests at the El Mercado have been recorded through the Sheriff's Department. In closing, I restate that the Department of Health Services is not in support of the zoning changes and believes that any conditions, whether voluntarily or mandated, will neither prevent nor mitigate the danger and or health risks to the citizens who live in this community and patronize this establishment. Thank you.
Gloria Molina, please.
Good morning, members of the City Council. As usual, I'm here to express my concern about this particular recommendation of Councilman Alatorre. I'm going to pass out all the reasons why I think that this board should continue to stay the course, and that is to deny this zone change for Mr. Rosado. The reason, of course, that they should is that we've always come here and we've expressed very clearly that this business continues to create a negative impact to everyone in the community, and it is something that should be addressed by the City Council. More importantly, what I think is important is that you have to understand that you have a businessman here who has always been disrespectful to the rules and the regulations of the city's council. There have been zone variances and other kinds of grantings that have been provided this businessman. He continues to be in non-compliance with the rules and regulations of this city, which are creating problems for the unincorporated area of the community. And of course, the reason that you shouldn't reward him is because he's an irresponsible businessman. And I think that this council needs to look at that track record when they do these kinds of things. Now, I have outlined for you in the past all the reason and rationale as to why you shouldn't do that. Let me just remind you of the continuous illegal activity that continue to exist. Every time Mr. Rosado comes, he puts in place various mitigations which he claims are going to eliminate these problems. We wish that were the case. That is not the situation. So consequently, it really requires you to say no to this gentleman. And finally, well, not finally, but the county involvement has been very serious. I have told you historically I tried to stay out of this issue, but the reality is I keep being drawn in because this gentleman is being very, very abusive of the surrounding neighborhood. Now, one of the most important things that we all do as local elected officials is we try and upgrade our communities. And the reality is that this is a neighborhood that needs a lot of upgrading in many respects. You have the power today to finally tell Mr. Rosado that he must obey the law. And that if he is willing to obey the law, let's say for a number of years, and provide a good track record to the city council, then maybe this board might be able to grant him a similar variance as they granted him in the past. But I think that, again, the community has come here on a regular basis. We have seen Mr. Alatorre continue to bring this motion before. This has not even gone through your plum committee again. And I hope that you won't feel any sympathy with Mr. Alatorre being in his final days of council. Richard, again, I think that we all applaud all of your efforts and all that you have contributed to the city, to the state, and so on. And there's going to be various of us that are going to be providing that recognition to you in the days to come. But this is not the way to end your city council career. This is, again, a gentleman that doesn't deserve this kind of reward from the city council. So I am urging you to vote no, to deny this variance and this zoning change, and to please do right by a community that is desperately relying on each of you to make the right decision. Thank you so very much.
All right. All the people that signed up against, we will make it part of the file. Now we'll have 10 minutes, and those in favor. Is Senator Polanco, I'm going to call for you first. Now don't fool with the timer.
Good morning, Mr. President, council members. I'm here to ask that you give strong support to the proposed recommendation. And let me tell you why. One, this zone change is consistent with the Boyle Heights neighborhood plan. Two, the approval by the zoning administrator, who has diligently done his diligence in regards to this particular review. He's visited on numerous occasions. His recommendation is a favorable recommendation. This zone change, council members, will bring into compliance the activities on this particular site. The property owner has invested well over $250,000 in public improvements for purposes of mitigation. The change is supported by not only the vendors, but by community members who also reside in this particular community. This has a historic history. This particular development was developed under the old SBA LDCs that allow for minority businessmen and women to invest in a dream, an opportunity to create economic development and self-determination. Those that will be affected most, if you deny, will be the 30 to 40 families and vendors who have the right to play by the rules, and you will bring the rules into play to earn a living for their families. This is not about the owner of the property. This goes beyond the owner of the property. This goes to a very fundamental principle, a principle of which government has a role to play, a principle that says to those individuals, if you are going to want to engage in business in the city of Los Angeles, here are the rules, and then they must adhere to them. This particular zone change will allow for those who have been out of compliance to come into compliance. You've provided an opportunity, a process that is being utilized to its fullest. And so I am here to tell you to look beyond the owner and look into the eyes of the 30 to 40 families who are going to provide, who want to provide for the livelihoods of their children. It is an issue that is important to them as it is to those of us that are here. These are good people. They earn an honest dollar. We ought to be able to accommodate them. I ask and urge you to support this particular zone change. Thank you.
All right. Now, please, you're taking away the time. Juanita Gutierrez, when you applaud, you just take away time. You only have 10 minutes. And Juanita Gutierrez, did you want to be heard?
Buenos días.
Good morning.
Mi nombre es Juana Gutiérrez. Soy presidenta de Madres del Este de Los Ángeles, Santa Isabel.
I'm president of Mothers of East Los Angeles, St. Isabel.
Y estamos aquí para apoyar a los comerciantes del mercado. Nosotros no tenemos intereses personales ni con el dueño ni con ellos. Las familias son las que nos importan.
We are here on behalf of the families, not the owner or anybody else, but the families, to employ that.
Todas estas familias que están aquí, con la controversia que hay ahorita, que quieren no solamente quitar a los vendedores de fuera, quieren, por lo que se oye y se ve, quieren quitar el mercado. Estas familias se quedarían sin alimentos.
By what's before the council, it's not to change anything, but to get rid of the business, which would affect all of these families from their livelihood.
Si de veras se preocupan por los niños, como dicen, ¿por qué no se preocupan por estas familias que van a quedar los niños sin alimento?
If you really are concerned about the children, why aren't you concerned about the individuals here, their families, and their children who will be left without any substance?
Esto es solamente personal contra el dueño. Los pobres personas que trabajan allí no tienen la culpa.
This is a personal assault against the owner. The families are not at fault that work there.
Que venden drogas allí. Son medicina, no son drogas fuertes.
That they sell drugs, these are not drugs, it's medicines that are not a strong medicine.
Pues aunque se rían, no son si tienen pruebas de que son drogas fuertes, ¿desde cuándo lo hubieran cerrado?
Don't laugh, but if you have proof that these are drugs, strong drugs, then by all means they show it so that they can be closed.
Si tanto quieren limpiar de drogas, ¿por qué no se van al Whittier Boulevard donde hay tanta droga que le corresponde al condado limpiar allí y los callejones de toda la ciudad?
If you are interested in dealing with the drug problem, why not go to Whittier Boulevard, to the alleys and areas surrounding Whittier Boulevard where there is a lot of drug problem?
Por el Whittier Boulevard no podemos caminar porque nos salen, vamos a las tiendas, nos salen a vender enfrente de quien sea. Eso debían el condado de cuidar, no acá con los del mercado.
The county should check that area out as opposed to this area, because as shoppers, when we frequent the area of Whittier Boulevard, as we exit the stores, we are constantly being approached by drug dealers.
Todos tenemos familias. Y en ellas debemos de pensar, principalmente en toda esta gente que tiene tantos hijos y que son familias de bajos recursos.
We all have families, and we should give consideration to that, especially these individuals who have families, large families, and we should consider their necessities too.
Muchísimas gracias. Ojalá que el consejo todos consideren esto, porque hay una cosa muy personal y especial contra este lugar.
I hope that the council give due consideration to this issue, because it's become a personal issue.
Todos tenemos hijos y a cada quien se nos llega el día. Muchas gracias.
We each have children, and each will have, our day will come.
Art Snyder. All right, Mrs. Alatorre. Angelina Alatorre. Okay.
Mr. President, members of the council, my name is Arthur Snyder. I'm an attorney in Los Angeles, and you have my address. I was at the opening of the El Mercado when the ribbon was cut, along with Mayor Yorty. And for 30 years, I have eaten there on a regular basis, about twice a month, and have bought my tortillas there, and there's a particular place that has good salsas, and I go there to buy them. So I think I can tell you what's gone on for the last 30 years at the El Mercado, and it's a very interesting story. These folks here, the outdoor vendors, were there on the day that we cut the ribbon. Mayor Yorty bought cold drinks from one of them, and so did I. And they were there at precisely the same place they've been for the last 30 years. I was there at another occasion with Mayor Bradley, and he bought also, by the way, a cold drink from him. And this has been no mystery. They've been there for 30 years. They've raised their families. They've sent their children off to war and saw them come back in caskets. These are business people, solid community business people of the lowest income. And that's nothing to come down on them about. What you're seeing here is a personality clash. I hope you can see that this is, some people hate someone and someone else hates someone else, and they're using these people in an attempt to get to another person. And this is. Now, whether you like the owner of the place or not, let me tell you from my own experience, he did not own this at the beginning. At the beginning, the program started out very good. It diminished, it went down, the place got really pretty ratty. And then he took over the place, and since then, it's been on its way back up. Now, let me tell you that it's not the easiest thing in the world, at the level of profit that you get in Boyle Heights, to make major reversal in a business that's got big problems. But if anyone would go over there and walk through it today, if anyone, and I don't know if anyone has, that you would find out that it is beautiful. It is beautiful, it is clean, it is well secured. And all through this entire process, I've heard the most egregious group of lies said to public bodies about what's gone on over there. And I can hardly believe that it's taken place. But there's one final thing, and that's this, that whether you like the owner today, whether you hate the owner today and want to drive him out of business by destroying these families, one way or the other, that's not the purpose of a zoning hearing and a hearing on zone changes. The requirements for making a zone change are met entirely. This is part of the community plan. It's part of the specific plan. It's supposed to be that way. And it's supposed to be commercial. And to just give them 4,000, 5,000 square feet in order to build permanent facilities for these vendors, I don't think is going to cause the world to suffer, and it will do nothing, let me tell you, do nothing but improve the quality of life in Boyle Heights. And I'd ask for your support.
Okay. Angelina Alatorre.
Good morning. My name is Angelina Latorre. Okay. We are a group of vendors that have reside and done our business at the Mercado for more than 30 years. Okay. We have been there all this time, and all of a sudden these people want to destroy these families with kids. Okay. I have proof of the neighbors. Okay, on a 500 radius, as you can see, the orange part here are the people. We went and they signed these letters, which we have proof for them, so I'm gonna present you with this. We also have pictures of the Mercado, so you can see how clean and nice it is to walk there. We invite you to walk through there so you can see what the truth is, okay? We are families that have not been raised with the food served on a silver platter. We're struggling in life, and they want to destroy us. We have put our kids through school or in college, and now they want to destroy us just because of a personal problem between Mrs. Molina and Mr. Rosado. So, and they also talk about crime. There is no crime. We have a letter here, but the chief of police of Hallenbeck Division, okay, and the crime is the lowest in the whole East Los Angeles. So I got proof of everything. So I want you to please listen to me, and please give us the change of zoning. We have been there for years. All we need is a stable place, a decent place so we can work in. We don't want to be a burden to the government. So please give us this.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, that's all the time we have, and we'll make the cards part of the file. So
I want to present you with this.
yeah, okay. Before we continue this, we have ordinances.
Excuse me.
I'm
one of the representatives.
Now, please, ordinances 2, 10, 11, 25, and 26. Any other ordinances?
2, 10, 10, 11, 25, 24, 25, 26, and 30, and 12.
And 39 is a special. All right, tabulate the vote on those ordinances.
No.
13 ayes.
Those are approved. Also, we want to send forthwith to the controller items 1, 18, 23, 35, 38, 41, 43, and 45. Forthwith on them. And also 24. Forthwith on all those. All right. We have item 39 before us now. Mr. Alatorre, you want to press your button? Yeah. To change the time to 3 minutes.
Shouldn't, Gloria, it's not very nice. Mr. President and members, let me try and set the record straight, contrary to my great friend Gloria Molina. First of all, this is the first time that I have brought before you something that is going to change the zoning in and around the Mercado. The last time around, or every time before this, I have been against doing anything for the Mercado. But folks, let us just try and be honest about the situation. I think that Ms. Juana Gutierrez, stated it probably the most correctly. This is a problem with the owner and some people that used to have business in the Mercado that didn't like the man. I don't necessarily like the man either. I mean, I'm not here to make a decision. I'm not asking you to make a decision as to whether you like somebody or you dislike somebody. I don't happen to necessarily like the man. But the fact of the matter is that we, through a series of hearings and the like, determined that the place was operating out of compliance. And at that time, the owner was unwilling to do anything to improve the situation at the Mercado. So finally, he decides that he is willing to put some money into it so that you could legitimize the people that have been in business in that area for 20, 30 years. They were operating illegally, and what they were doing is now they were attempting to try and legalize their business so that they could conduct their business without being out of compliance with the law. Now, at some point, we are talking about trying to improve the area. Now, nobody is going to tell me that if you leave the area the way that it is, that is improving it. You have to put some investment of capital in it, and an investment of capital is going to be made so that you can not only legitimize the people that have had businesses there for a long period of time and operate within the law. Operate so that they're enclosed, so that they meet all of the zoning requirements and all of the planning and land use issues, that you meet them and that you are in compliance with the law. Now, I have worked with the group that is opposed to it for a long period of time. And you know, they have been very diligent in their opposition to it, and they have that right. But there comes a time when you have to separate what the real issues are from what the things that have nothing to do with anything are. It's clear that there is a great deal of antagonism between the owner and some of the people there. Now, to say that they represent the entire community, it is outrageous to even make that determination, because there are people on both sides of the issue. There are a petition of people that have signed, and you can look at those petitions and the letters that have signed to say that they want to have the improvements made on the Mercado. And these are people that live within the geographic area around the Mercado, not just on Cheeseboro Lane, but the Mercado has a lot more to do than just Cheeseboro Lane. And if you know the area, you know, you're talking about an area where, yes, there are parking lots. Well, they are parking lots because they have to have parking for the people that happen to patronize the Mercado. Now, if the Mercado was all that bad, then you know what? It would have been out of business a long time ago. But the fact of the matter is that it's meeting the needs of people. People do, in fact, shop there. Yes, there has to be improvements. Have there been improvements over a period of time? Yes, there have been improvements. Have there been as many as should be? Probably not. But I can cite to you more businesses throughout the city of Los Angeles that have a similar problem. And if you want to, we could start with one of them that happens to be owned by the city of Los Angeles. That is in a very similar situation. And that happens to be Alvera Street. That is historical in nature. And we have not done and been as diligent as we should be in that area. We have begun, but to just all of a sudden say that, you know what, we are going to stop forever any improvement or anything that would allow for the legitimizing, and even the opponents say, we have nothing against the merchants. Well, if they have nothing against the merchants, then allow them the opportunity to be able to construct so that they can be legitimate and operate within the law. And that has always been a point. And my opposition has been just like theirs. You know, I don't like the guy. And he has not been the best neighbor in the world. But how much longer are we going to just stop progress because we don't happen to like somebody? And, you know, that is, I think, the real issue. I have been against the owner. I have been against the Mercado, you know, and have attempted to make changes in life. But there reaches a point in time where, you know, progress has to take place, where we have to put the interests of not just, you know, a few people, but put the interest of all the people. I appreciate the fact that the County of Los Angeles is here. I'm sure that if I was in the county, and I could probably get somebody to come over here, and they have legitimate concerns, and there shouldn't be any vending. There shouldn't be any vending of not illegal drugs per se. We're not talking about heroin. We're not talking about cocaine. I'm just going to finish. What we're talking about is drugs that are sold across the border, that people have gone through for many years. My grandmother did it, my aunt did it, and everything else, and they are proliferating all over Los Angeles. But unfortunately, because of the high cost of medicine and everything else, unfortunately, they're there, and they should be stopped. And I agree. But stopping them has nothing to do with these merchants. These are merchants that are vendors of not medicine. These are vendors of goods and services. That's what it is. So I would say, look, we have to try and improve the Mercado. There is a rendering of what is attempted to be made. Let us put aside the dislike that people have had, but let's talk about what is in the best interest of the city. And to me, the best interest of the city is not putting people out of business, but putting them in a situation that complies with all of the rules and regulations of the law. That's what we're about.
All right,
and I
you.
would ask for an aye vote.
Mr. Hernandez.
Mr. President, point of, before we have more debate, could we get the staff to tell us exactly what's before us, so that, is that all, because
Is there staff?
Yes, right. What the recommendation is and what's involved?
Okay, Mr. Hernandez, I'll call you just as soon as they finish.
Nicholas Brown.
Report on this.
Nicholas Brown, hearing examiner, here to represent Planning Commission on this action. As instructed by City Council, Planning Commission did hear this item on June 16th, and that was a notice public hearing. They evaluated and reconsidered three possible options that can be taken on this project. One was zone change to C4 on a portion of the property and P1 on another portion of property, that P1 being closest to the residential. The staff made a presentation and discussed those three items after testimony that was taken from the public, also officials and agencies. Planning Commission deliberated on the matter, and the focus seemed to be on the sale of pharmaceutical items. The Planning Commission did approve the project 4-0, and they added three conditions. One condition was that there be no sale of pharmaceutical items in the vendor area. Also, another condition that there be any other discretionary actions necessary, that they apply for those permits. And last condition being that there be a written agreement between the owner and the vendors, that there be a notice that identifies the limitations and the items that are prohibited to occur on the site, and that if they are violated, that the vendors will be evicted. The item that is before you by Planning Commission is a recommendation of approval of a zone change, so C4 that is closest to the existing El Mercado, which is 50,000 square feet. The C4 will allow approximately 5,000 square feet of permanent structure to be built to house the vendors. What is also before you is a zone change to P1 for the parking, which is closest to the residential. And the purpose of the two zones is to have a transition of zones that will help protect the residential area. And that concludes staff's presentation.
Okay, Mr. Hernandez.
Mr. President, members of the council, at the request of Supervisor Molina, I'd like to give some of my time to Mr. Gregory Thompson, who's the director of Los Angeles Regional Drug Information Center, and if he doesn't mind giving his testimony right now, and then I'll be pushing my button again. Mr. Thompson, you have less than 3 minutes because I took up about 30 seconds of it.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen of the City Council. My name is Dr. Greg Thompson. I'm Director of the Drug Information Center, LA County USC Medical Center, and I've been on the HALT task force for a year doing these busts of illegal pharmaceuticals in the community. It's an ongoing problem. It's throughout the community. It's just not East Los Angeles. It's also in all parts of our city. We have already busted 167, 170 places. We've not even touched the tip of the iceberg. I would specifically like to respond to the dangerous drugs that we did or did not find at the Mercado. This is the third time we did the Mercado. All the times we went there, we found many, many dangerous drugs. I'll just read you the DEA schedule, the federally scheduled drugs that if a doctor writes has to have a special DEA number on, that we found lots of. The first is Valium. We found hundreds and hundreds of pills of Valium 10 milligram. We found 60 tablets of lorazepam or Ativan. We found Redotex and Diastat, which are both diet pills, which are illegal in the U.S. because they're so potent. We found injectable testosterone used by bodybuilders to increase their muscle size. The second time we went, we found hundreds of vials of the stuff, so it was being sold for that reason. There's no other reason to use that. We found also an Lexotan, which is another bromazepam, another common tranquilizer related to Valium. So that's just the dangerous drugs. In addition, I've got pages of prescription drugs here that we found, from penicillin, which people can die from allergy to. On the question of getting things cheaper, the drugs are not cheaper. The drugs, for the most part, are more expensive. And you don't get proper therapy course because you're just buying 3 or 4 pills for whatever amount you can get rather than getting your whole course of a 10-day therapy, which is not a good thing. I also don't like the fact that there are people who go in with a symptom. I've got nausea and vomiting. They're given a pill for the nausea and vomiting, and it's a 30-year-old woman, and you don't know if that woman's got food poisoning, or is she sick to her stomach for whatever reason, or might she be pregnant, and now you're giving her a shot of something that may make her fetus be malformed. You've got to have a lot of reasons and a lot of doctoring to go on before you give a drug out, and this is the kind of stuff that's going on. In conclusion, we found 10 pages full of prescription drugs that your doctor would have to write a prescription for and your pharmacist fill before they could get their hands on them. They were hidden throughout the one place that we were going through when we found how many that there were, and there was probably $10,000, $20,000 worth of drugs there that day. And this is the 3rd time we've gone, so it's an ongoing, continuing problem. It already is responsible for deaths in the city of Los Angeles, and if we don't put a stop to it, there'll be more deaths from this kind of activity. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The chair recognizes Mrs. Goldberg. Jackie?
You know, there are times when you come into a situation and you think, you know, you just have no idea what you're going to do, because there's all right and all justice is not on one side. But I have to say that my staff and I, on various occasions in the last month, have been out to the property. And until yesterday, it was a mess. Yesterday, they cleaned it up, I guess because today's the vote. But until yesterday, you could actually smell the property as you drove up. Because we had our windows open and we wanted to see what it was like. The outdoor vending is not dreadful, but it's also not great, and it's not clean, and the gutters were not clean until yesterday. Well, I'm talking about those little enclosures in the parking lot. I was there yesterday. Don't tell me they weren't there.
There's no more. They were removed.
Well, they were there yesterday. I was there yesterday. I went yesterday. So I can tell you yesterday they were still out in the parking lot. So if they've been removed since 1:30 yesterday afternoon, because I personally drove there yesterday afternoon at 1:30.
Richard, she has the floor.
And that's how I know it was clean yesterday, because it had been swept all the way down. It really looked actually a whole lot better than the other 2 times that my staff had gone. It's just, in my view, not appropriate to have a situation which you cannot rely on is going to be properly taken care of. And that's the problem I'm having. If you had you know, and I've met the owner. We were both at a scholarship luncheon together. There's no animus in this for him, for me at all. He was donating scholarships. I think that's a wonderful thing to do. So this has nothing to do with him for me, but it does have everything to do with those issues that we talk about here all the time, which are quality of life issues. And frankly, I don't have any faith that if we were to do this, that we would have a person who is going to look out for those quality of life issues. And that's where I have to come down. That's true.
Chair recognizes Mr. Alatorre. Oh, excuse me, Mr. Wax.
Let me ask the staff. You're now recommending the planning. You're saying the planning commission is recommending making the area where the small vendors are legal,
That's
as
correct.
opposed to illegal, and you're doing so under a set of conditions. You only mentioned 3. You mentioned about the not selling of the drugs and agreements to evict them if they do, et cetera. What about the other issues that Ms. Goldberg and Ms. Molina and people have been raising in terms of cleanliness, sanitary conditions, quality of life? Are there conditions on those?
A number of conditions, yes, but not only by this action, but also by the Board of Zoning Appeals in a previous action, yes.
Okay, because you didn't mention those, so that's what I wanted you to come forward. I'm trying to figure out what you're doing. Let us assume for a moment, and it's only an assumption, that you put enough conditions on that if they were honored, it wouldn't be a problem. They would then be legal and it wouldn't be a problem. I'm not saying that you have, because you haven't even really spelled out what they are, but assuming for a moment you feel confident that you did, what is to make anyone feel that he'll honor the new conditions if he hasn't honored the old conditions all along?
We have actually already seen proof that they are able and willing to honor conditions. They have self-imposing conditions. I, as well as the Board of Zoning Administrators, zoning administrator has been out there to inspect the site, but we also have a notice within the conditions where we can exercise the abatement, nuisance abatement.
Well, the point of this is, well, part of it is that I'm getting different views as to how much they've honored conditions or not. Ms. Goldberg was out there one thing, she saw something different than Mr. Alatorre just said. I'm hearing all this. And so I don't want to leave it to be something subjective. How could you write into here something categorical that it's granted only if the council finds the conditions have been satisfied, and if not, it's over, it terminates?
Councilman,
Is there a legal way to do something like that?
they have yet another approval to seek from the zoning administrator. They're operating a swap meet on the site. They will have to go through again, and I think we can take care of that.
No, but what
as
I'm
part of
trying to
that.
get at is, rather than leave it to trust, I have a hard time trusting someone who hasn't been trustworthy in the past. So is there a way to write it in that it's a conditional approval and that it's automatically terminated if in fact they don't do it? Is there some legal way of accomplishing something of that nature?
Jerry Burge, City Attorney's Office. There's no way to differ from the way we enforce all actions such as this, and we do enforce Q conditions.
Can you grant something on a conditional basis or for a limited period of time till one proves it, and make them come back again in a year to have proven that it was?
As a part of the zone change, we cannot, but if the separate action that we're coming through is a conditional use on the swap meet, we can then impose a time limit as a part of that.
But can you impose a time limit on the businesses that have been supposedly selling drugs? And I have to say, more than I believe when the guy comes and tells me what he found, that they found him. They didn't make that up out of whole cloth. So if you want to stop that, how can I make sure that if it hasn't been stopped in 6 months or a year, he's out? That in other words, something that is only given for a period of time. We did that with the swim thing. Remember that time in North Hollywood? You know, he didn't need it, he was over.
As a part of the conditional use, we can make them come back in 6 months for subsequent review and approval. We can keep...
Or give it for 6 months and make a finding that it can't be renewed until there's a finding that it has been satisfied.
We could do that as a part of the conditional use.
See, I want you to start thinking of something, because I can't trust, you can't trust someone who hasn't proved trustworthy, but if you could write it in to protect yourself, then maybe you
Mr.
can
Wax.
accommodate.
All right, Mr. Burnson.
Yes, members of the council, we have to differentiate between violations and land use. The violations part, which have taken place in the past, and which is the concern of Mr. Wax and some others, and Mrs. Goldberg, that I've heard voiced, are things of enforcement. Now, the facility has existed for many years. It's traditional. It doesn't go back as far as things like Alvera Street, for example, but it is a neighborhood community thing that takes place and has for a number of years. There have been problems. My understanding is a lot of those problems have been cleared up, not all of them. But there is a process for dealing with the things that the county health inspector talked about. That's called enforcement. There are ways of dealing with building and safety violations, such as non-cleanliness and so forth. It's called enforcement. That's the problem. The problem isn't with operators in this city. If you want to know the truth, council members, the problem is with us, because we don't really have a good solid enforcement system that takes place in the city, whether it's Mercado or other areas of the city. We have them in your district, in my district, and everywhere, and you all know it's the truth. So, I propose that I think this is a improvement over what has taken place in the past. I think the conditions that have been put forth, the new building that's going in, and the type of observation that's going to take place as part of the conditions that have been put in the controversy will make this a better operation as far as the neighborhood is concerned. I am right now, Joel, you asked this question, so I want to, the revocation process that I brought in several years ago on conditional use permits and on conditions being violated has worked. The problem with it has been it's too slow. Right now, I'm going to try to devise, in the next year or so, I'm going to try to devise a system that will work more quickly with still giving due process for us to get rid of nuisances. But I am going to support this now. I'm going to watch it very carefully, and if it doesn't work, I assure you, I will be the first one, whether it's my district or not, to initiate a revocation. Yeah, you may quickly on my time.
We had a swim school in North Hollywood. They were illegal. We said you can't get out of there or be legal. We said, okay, you get it for 1 year, and that's it. And if you don't come back and show that you're doing
You
it,
just said one. You just wanted to ask one thing. You've taken my
can
time.
you do something like that where you give it for a year
You can
and
give it
then
and-
make them come back?
You can have them come back for review. Do you want to go through all this? What we can do is we can.
Better than revocation.
Joel, please.
I'm just asking you.
What I would suggest, and I'll make this as a friendly amendment and see if Mr. Alatorre will accept it, that it be reviewed on periods of 6 months for the first year, 6 months, and then after a year, be reviewed again by the zoning administrator to make sure that they're in compliance. If not, then the whole thing has to come back if they're not.
Can I just say, look at.
Will you accept that?
Yeah, I accept that, and if there's anything else, look at, I want the concerns that are raised, I have concerns. And I thought that we put enough mitigation in there, and if there's other things that I agree. It can be a 6-month review, it could be a 4-month review. I mean, I think what's important is that there be compliance.
Okay, Mrs. Chick, you have the floor.
Thank you. If I could clarify, what is before you is a zone change. That is a legislative act.
Right.
The conditional use that may or may not be before you soon is not a legislative act. That can have the review period that you are referring to. You would need to initiate another zone change, which you could do, in order to reverse this zone change if you felt that the conditions were not being complied with.
Information. I must point out to the council that while the city attorney has given us this advice, if we did initiate another zone change, they would only be non-conforming if they were given approval. You still need to have the conditions. If we cannot put conditions on the zone change, we can ask them to sign a guarantee, if you will, or what goes with that goes with the property.
A covenant you're
A covenant.
referring to?
Yes, we can ask
All
them
right,
to put a
but,
covenant on the deed,
Mr.
accepting those conditions.
Mrs. Chick, you have the floor.
A couple of thoughts, colleagues, that I'd like to share. First of all, in listening to our member that I consider our best land use expert, Mr. Wax, I think Mr. Bernson just argued you out of your idea, because what he was talking about, and I agree with him, is that we have trouble with our enforcement. And it makes me very nervous to be looking at supporting something where we're saying we need to rely on enforcement, whether it's from building and safety, whether it's from the zoning administrator on queue conditions. I don't see a lot of resources in either of those two entities out there enforcing. We have enforcement problems now. The other comments made were also very accurate about our revocation process. There are members of the City Council who are burdened in their district with the slowness of the revocation process. Quite frankly, we all are. And I know that the zoning administrator is one of the entities taking the lead to try and smooth that out, but we don't have the answers yet or the improved revocation process yet. what's making me very nervous about supporting this is that everyone's talking so far, including people supporting it, about the problems. And what we're really looking at now is how can we support it and go after this entity if the problems persist, with a history before us that the problems have persisted and a process of going after them that's imperfect, to say the least. I do have a couple of quick questions also to help finish my understanding of this. There have been parking problems. How is what is before us improve or further exasperate the parking problems? And two, it has been raised to me that while there are business people and families who could be adversely impacted if we don't go forward today, that making these improvements would very much raise the rents on existing tenants, and in many cases force those families and those businesses to no longer be able to operate at their present location. So it sounds as though if that's the case, and I'm not sure who here can verify or validify that, that either way there is some potential negative impact on existing businesses. But when we look at negative impact on families, I've also been hearing from a lot of families who are saying that they have ongoing daily negative impacts from the operation of this facility. I would like staff to respond to that, about the parking at least.
Your time is up, so we'll let them answer.
In regards to the second question, that is a question I believe is best answered by either the owner or the owner's representative. But in regards to the first question, the parking that you have before you is only a portion of the property for this use. The other portion is governed by a zoning administrator approval that was issued in 1997. And in that approval, they have a number of conditions that mitigate the parking impact, and many of those conditions have been placed into the recommendation as before you for the zone change. I'd like to note that approval by the zoning administrator was re-reviewed in December of last year through a plan approval process that was a public hearing. And through that process, the zoning administrator went out to the site and looked through every single condition she placed onto this project and to see if it was effectively mitigating the impact. From that, she added 3 additional conditions to deal with traffic, but she did find that the other mitigation measures were working.
And we're being complied with.
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Hernandez.
I don't know that he's got the vote.
I don't think so either. Well, he may have 8. We haven't heard from everybody.
He needs 8.
Yeah.
Mr. President, members of the council, I just went up to Ms. Galante and I said, "What are you going to do?" And she says, "I'm going to follow you." And I said, "Oh, man." The reason I thought I'd start that way is this is not my issue. It's not in my district. And what I've tried to do is make a solid decision. And I'm going to try and share with you what little wisdom I've been able to accumulate in this process. What I think is happening here is a land use decision on basically converting 5,000 square feet into commercial area on a parking lot. Now, I share that with you because when I heard the issue of the drugs and the sales, that issue's happening now. And I think that that issue has to be stopped. But the reality is it's happening in the existing lot. And I just wanted to make sure people understood that. When I hear the issue of the landlord, what I need everybody to understand is I've also gone to the site and I've seen some improvements, and we got some pictures of some improvements, and I know he's invested some money, but at the same time, I'm not sure he's that landlord I want to support. But that's not the issue. The issue is, what do you do with what's before you right now as a land use issue? Because I've always stated that as council members, that's one of the decisions we basically have to make. How do you use the land? Clearly, this is in a commercial area, but because of the history of previous zoning, it also has housing, and it used to be a residential area that was converted to zoning. But there's no question in my mind that the corner in question and the lot in question could be converted to commercial use. And we could legitimize partly the activity that's going in there, and that is the sales and the retail sales, which is part of a legitimate process. I want to put that on the table, because what's bothersome to me is the fact that we have a lot of issues that are being brought out, and a lot of people who represent both sides of the community, which is the same community. And I want to explain that because what we haven't heard today, and what was bothersome to me, is the new representative of that community's opinion. I've tried to ask Mr. Pacheco, and I haven't been able to communicate with him, and part of that might have to do because I didn't support him for his election. But the reality is he has not communicated back to me on his position on this issue. And I think it's important that we understand that. But I also have heard from the person who represented the area for the longest time and is going to be leaving us. And I need you to understand, Councilman Alatorre, that it's with a tremendous amount of respect that I say these words, that I know that you've been out there trying to do your job. Okay, so now I'm confused because as an elected official, it is my responsibility to make a decision today. But I do want you to understand that I believe that as a land use issue, if this was happening in my district, I'd be supporting this project.
Okay, Mr. Wax, you have the floor.
I want to follow up on what Ms. Chick raised because my thinking, I think it's a lot like hers. There are problems with revocation and there are problems with enforcement, and that's too much. That is unfair. That puts the burden on the people rather than the burden on the applicant. And I don't want to go that route. I was trying to get to a process whereby you put the burden on the owner. You get this for 6 months or you get this for a year, and if you don't prove that you have operated right, you lose it. It's over. Not we have to go in and make the findings and have the hearings and do the revocation, all that, which can take forever, whether it's a motel or whatever. Now, they're saying you can't do that with a zone change, but you could do it with a conditional use. Is that right?
That's correct.
All right. Why do we have to vote on the zone change? Why not hold the zone change until the conditional use comes here, make it a part of the conditional use, and then do the two together so that you know it's done that way rather than relying on faith?
Councilman, may I respond
Yeah?
to that? You would need the commercial zone in order to apply for the conditional use.
Well, you could make the zone queued. You could queue the zone that it takes effect if and when the conditional use is as a condition, a queue condition, that you apply for a conditional use which is approved, and the two end up running together.
That was already done by the Planning Commission, Councilman.
But that's not in here now.
That was one of the conditions that the commission added as a part of their hearing last week.
And what was the condition they
That
added?
they must apply for a conditional use for a swap meet in order for the zone change to take effect.
But can you make it further that if the conditional use is not giving, the zone change doesn't take effect? More than not just apply, get it. So then we could control the conditions under the conditional use.
That's implied. If they don't meet the condition.
Well, I don't want to imply it. I would want to make it specific. I would want to know, because anyone can make an application. There's a long way from making an application and having a council-approved application that has all the conditions in that you want. If you could rewrite that would say that the condition is that the zone change doesn't go into effect unless and until the city council passes a conditional use permit, and then we have the ability to put in that conditional use permit all of the conditions. The primary one, which I would insist on, would be they only get it for a limited time, 6 months or a year, and they have to have burden of proof for them to prove that everything is okay before it can be extended. Then I would feel comfortable. I don't feel comfortable in any other way. Can that be accomplished?
Yes, Councilman, let me read the condition. It says, obtain the necessary conditional use approvals or other discretionary approvals required by the LMC as determined by the chief zoning administrator. So that is the condition.
Okay, well then what I'm trying to get at is to go a little further, to condition it on the fact that they have to get a conditional use which includes among its conditions what I'm trying to get at, a limited duration and a burden of proof on them proving that before it can be extended.
We can do that. That was the intent of the commission.
If you could write me something that writes that in, then I could. Otherwise, I can't.
Ms. Goldberg.
I need you to write it, someone to write it up.
Well, see, here's one of the
Just for the
problems for
zone
me.
change, right.
The underground parking, which was there, was converted into spaces for vendors. So they lose that parking. No, that's already happened. We've already lost it. No, a long time ago, you're right. But with the displaced parking, they then acquired several residential lots and demolished houses and converted the lots into parking. But we couldn't find any conditional use permits on those lots, and you have to have a conditional use permit to put parking in a residential zone. So I'm not even sure they've got, some of those lots are even legal. The biggest problem for me is that if you enclose 5,000 square feet more, first of all, we don't know that that's going to happen. Changing the zone doesn't guarantee it, it only permits it. Second of all, if it does happen, that might be an improvement, but then do you have enough space for parking? They have a legal limit, probably. Yeah, I don't know. As I said, this is a tough one. I'm not saying this is an easy one. I've never denied it. And I feel, however, that if you had been out there on the days before it had been swept and cleaned, you'd have some difficulty believing that any conditions are going to be followed, and that's the problem that I've had from the beginning.
Mr. Bernson?
Yeah, I'm going to try one more time to try to capsulize this. Joel, I don't think they have a problem with having them run hand in hand, and that may be the way to go. Yeah, so that's fine. But, you know, I have to point out, if we were to deny this, okay, they would still be in operation. You wouldn't get the improvements that are provided for in this thing, but also we would still have to go to the same revocation process or nuisance process to get rid of them. So it's a, you know, if you deny it, it's a lose situation. If you grant it, it is a possible win, provided that everything is adhered to. So I think that, you know, this is an improvement. It may not be what everybody loves over there, although there's a lot of community that do want it. But I think that we should proceed, we should follow the recommendations of the commission, particularly add the language that ties the conditional use as part of the zone change, and then watch it from there on in. And I think that we as a city need to do a better job of enforcement. And I'm telling you that I am very unhappy. It isn't just this project, it's happening all over the city. You know, what is it to get enforcement on something? You know, it is very, very difficult to get any of our codes enforced. And that's a problem, and one we need to address. And we shouldn't just single out this one project.
Mr. Hernandez?
You know, members of the council, and again, Mr. Alatorre might think a little bit differently, but I don't think there are 8 votes here. What I wanted to move is that this item be continued so that we could have, I'd like to really know where Councilman Pacheco is going to be once he's sworn in.
I already talked to him, and I'll talk about that when I speak.
Okay. Then I'll listen to Mr. Alatorre.
Mr. Wax?
The planning staff and the city attorney are working on language that would do, in essence, the following. It would say that a zone change cannot take effect unless and until a conditional use permit is approved by this council, one of the conditions of which have to be in there, that it only be granted for a year, and then it can't be renewed, and then you have to have the whole hearings and all before it can be renewed for longer than that. And that way I would feel comfortable that they would get it for no more than a year, and the burden of them would be to prove that they have honored the conditions, not that the people have to sit there and prove that they haven't honored them, and that it only lasts for that year. And that conditional use will come back with that condition and others when Mr. Pacheco will then be the council member, and we'll have his input on the very specifics of a conditional use permit, which have many, many more conditions than just that one. But it's that one that is sort of the paramount thing to me. So let me ask the city attorney and the planning department whether you could draft it, or whether you are drafting it in essence in that manner. Ms. Berg?
Proposed language says the zone change shall not take effect until a conditional use, I'm afraid I can't read his writing. Maybe Mr.
Okay, what I wanted to say is until a conditional use permit is approved by the council, which includes as one of the conditions that it only be granted for a year and then have to go have the hearings at that point.
I think
to prove he's doing it.
the concern on the city attorney's part was the one-year portion.
Yes,
We have given one-year things in the past. I know we did that. with the
But not
swing.
as a part of the zone changes council.
No, but as part of the conditional use. And what I'm
Right. My concern is that you're binding the city before the hearing on the conditional use has occurred. And I have no problems with the condition that says with a review period, and then you will have your opportunity to
But that it's only
impose what
granted
time
for
you
the
think
year.
it's-
We
is
could put in that it only be granted for a year and then have the hearings.
at the conditional use
Yeah.
stage. But you could not, and I guess I'm a little bit unclear about.
I want to condition the zone change with a queue that doesn't come off until a conditional use has been approved by the council. One of the conditions is which they get it for a year, and then they have to have hearings and reapply for the extension of it.
That would be fine if you were referring to the conditional use.
Yes, that is what I'm referring to. And then I would feel comfortable.
Check.
We'll work on the language.
Mrs. Chick?
Yes, just,
Claudia's saying.
that piece is also very important to me, so I want to hear from staff exactly how we're going to do that. But the other thing, in terms of parking, and your colleague up there was talking to me over on the side, that we can also condition this, because I understand that the proprietor is looking at adding parking, but there's nothing mandating it. I want it mandated, that at least 30 additional parking spaces are added within 1,500 square feet of this project.
1,500 feet?
As a queue condition.
As a queue condition.
As a queue condition.
All right, so I'm making that motion. Mr. Wax will second that.
Yes, it's above code. It's above
Okay,
code.
we got the wording on that? Okay, thank you.
Ms. Galanter?
30 additional.
Out of curiosity, can we construct a conditional use permit here under an agenda item of having a zone change? Thank you. Because what concerns me here is that obviously there are a lot of people with very strong feelings about this project, and if we're going to have a conditional use permit, if we're going to force them to apply for a conditional use permit, I expect we're going to hear from a lot of people on the conditions that ought to be in the conditional use permit. And I don't think we can do that in this forum at this time without advance notice to anybody else who may want to come and speak on conditions in a conditional use permit. That's what I'm trying to clarify. I do think, and again, Jerry, maybe you can help me with this, that it's possible it seems to me it's okay for us to say we grant the zone change, but it doesn't take effect unless and until there's a conditional use permit issued, approved, and maybe issued. But what bothers me a little bit is that we're standing here writing the conditions for the conditional use permit, and I think I heard you say, no, we can't do that.
That has been my consistent advice, to caution you about hearing the conditional use here. It is not before you. I do believe we could support a condition that says it will not take effect until a conditional use is granted. However, I would recommend that you impose the conditions, the appropriate conditions at the conditional use stage.
Mr. Fuhr?
Thank you, Mr. President. I have one basic issue that I'm trying to come to grips with. I have not made a final decision yet, and if people can help me with this, it will at least determine one vote. In general, on land use issues, when there has been a consistent problem at a site, my tendency, in my own district at least, has been to make sure by demonstrated action and experience that that ownership is responsible enough to warrant the receipt of whatever's being sought. In other words, display that you can follow the law and act in accordance with the highest quality of life in the area. And if you can show that, notwithstanding the track record that has been mixed at best that you've had, then I'll be open to the new grant. In this case, what I am hearing is, because I have not visited the site, but from our prior debates and reviewing the documents, what I understand is, here is a site which has been a source of difficulty and problem in the community, and before it cleans up its act, we are asked to confer additional rights to the owner, on the owner. And that's a problem for me. I want to see that period of time when there's utter compliance with existing rules before I'm prepared to act to grant discretionary changes there. But I'm open to people responding to me by saying that I misunderstand some key facts on this case. If I can't be persuaded that I misunderstand something, reluctantly I'm going to vote not to change the zone because of my concern that there hasn't been a demonstrated responsible ownership at the site. Can someone respond to that, including Mr. Alatorre, because I'm wrestling with this and I have not made a final decision.
Well, can I speak now?
Yeah, I'm
All right.
open.
Mr. President, members, I'll try and, I think that over a period of time, yes, the owner has improved, all right? Now, has he improved to everything that I would like him to do? I don't think there are places in Los Angeles that they've improved and they're never going to be what we would want them to do. But let me, Mr. President, members, let me just try and put this into the right focus. There's a lot of issues, and I think Mr. Hernandez put it right as to what the issue really is about that we are voting on. And it is whether in a commercial area, the gentleman that is attempting to get a zone change to construct, to legitimize the owner, the vendors that were there at one time, that we have removed, that they can comply with the law. These people have nothing to do with many of the issues that are raised. We raised the issue of parking. Those things have been dealt with in prior actions. We raised the issue about, whether there are proper setbacks, whether it is structurally going to comply with the law. We have mitigated the living daylights out of this. I accept the motion that Mr. Wax, because I believe that he is wrestling with it, and I don't have a problem with it. I think that we're after the same thing, but, we can find a reason in the world to go against anything. But all I'm saying to you is that, and I have searched out, but over a period of time.
I think you answered his question.
No, I thought that you had, I thought I was up.
No, go ahead. I'll give you a few more minutes.
All right, but
a few more seconds.
all I'm saying is, Mr. Wax, is that, that I think that you've legitimately raised some issues, and I have no problem with accepting the amendments. Because I'm prepared to accept any mitigation that will get us to where I believe we should get to. And that is, this is a zone change, and to get to the zone change with the proper mitigation so that, they're not to blame for anything. They're just trying to live and to have something that complies with the law, and that's what I'm trying to do. And to get to that, I am willing to accept the things that will get us there and that will hold the owner of the property accountable to make sure that he lives within health and safety regulations and whatever planning laws and land use laws that we have. That's what this attempt is being made to do. I think there are plenty of mitigations, and maybe what we ought to do is just listen to the things that have been imposed on this so that that many of the concerns that are raised are in fact dealt with. So I would respectfully ask for an aye vote on this issue.
All right. Mr. Holden?
Do you want to say
Mr. President, part I've heard about this is kind of tricky talk. So I got to ask some questions. I understand while I was out of the room, Mr. Wax made a motion that says that whereas we may be approving a zone change, but we're not approving a zone change because we're really talking about a conditional use permit, which have so many conditions in it, which means the zone change is not in effect until you meet the conditions of the conditional use permit. Did I hear correctly?
What Mr. Wax did is just an expansion of what the Planning Commission already did, which was require that a conditional use would have to be obtained for a swap meet, which was the fact in any case. So I don't think we've added anything here. Mr. Wax has been more specific about the intent.
Yeah, wait a minute. If you're asking that a conditional use permit be approved, and you're giving a year for them to do that before you trigger the implementation of the zone change.
What we're saying here is that in order for the zone change to be effective, a conditional use must be approved, essentially, with the, as specified Mr. Wax.
And you have a year to do that?
No, they can apply for that conditional use within the time period of the existence of zone.
But nothing happens until the conditional use is approved.
That's right. It could be 2 years, Councilman, before they got that approval.
Then everything is status quo then.
Yes.
Everything is status quo, so in effect, we're voting, but we're not voting for anything.
Councilman, they couldn't have really applied for the conditional use unless they have the zone change, so it's a step in the process.
I know, but it doesn't go into effect, so you're really not voting for anything. I know, but that I can vote for if nothing's really going to happen. And I don't think it's going to happen until you come back to us to approve the conditions, period. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay, so you're not voting for anything. All right, Richard, are you saying you voting for something when we're not voting for anything?
To begin the process so that you ultimately have to come back with a conditional use.
Okay.
But you have to have the zone before you can vote.
Oh,
So we're voting for
let me
the
ask you a
zone,
question.
and then the conditional use
Right.
comes later.
Will this come back before the end of the month?
No, it comes back as a conditional use permit.
Request.
That's
all, it's a request.
It could be next month, it could be whenever, I don't know.
Or you're going to come down and speak for it?
Yeah, I'll come by and speak for it, sure.
Mr. Fuhr.
No. Mr. Bernson raises a point that I also want to clarify, because a lot of what I said earlier was premised on the assumption that while the owner may have improved, that the conditions at the site are still not what we would like them to be. Mr. Bernson, I don't know how I want to put words in your mouth, but the essence of, I think, Hal's point was, if we don't take actions to allow additional improvements on the site, the status quo will be allowed to persist and actually not benefit the community at all. But if we have problems at the site, first of all, is that true? And secondly, if it's true, why would we allow a status quo which, while it may have improved, is still inadequate from the community standpoint to persist? I mean, one thing, if it's going to improve a situation in a way that we have no other way to do, that militates in one direction. But why would we allow a situation that's deficient to continue to exist?
We wouldn't allow it, Councilman.
All right, so, yeah, I'd like to ask a good question. I want to know the answer to the question. I'll state it from my standpoint. Hal said, well, what are you going to do, revoke it? What's the answer?
We would seek enforcement. They currently have, I believe, an R3 zone, and we would enforce that requirement.
Is it the staff's perspective that enforcement is necessary at the site currently or not?
If you do not approve the zone change and the subsequent condition, enforcement of the existing zoning will be required.
Okay, all right, for today, that's...
Ms. Chick?
Yeah, I'd like to finally sort through this. If we approve the zone change today, but we do not approve a conditional use permit, what's the situation?
They have a zone.
They still have the underlying R3 zone because they will not have effectuated the zone change.
And if they're not, then it would just the underlying R3 zone, and they're not complying,
That's correct.
then you could enforce.
That's correct.
So if we pass the zone change today, and we don't go forward with the conditional use permit, as Mr. Holden was getting at, we're basically in the same situation as we are if we don't approve the zone change.
Correct.
Correct, okay. One more question. If we held off making the decision today on the zone change, could Plum Committee undertake crafting a conditional use permit and send back to council the request for the zone change accompanied by a conditional use permit, which would address, I believe, Mr. Wax's concerns and mine?
Under the code, you can specify additional time for the zone change to be considered, therefore holding on to the zone change. Then a conditional use could be
crafted.
They need to apply for conditional use, and it would need to go through the processes specified in the code, which would start with a zoning administrator and then go through the process and would presumably on appeal end up in Plum and then council.
No, but you had said earlier that you can't get a conditional use permit until you have the zone change.
Cannot apply.
You cannot apply. So Plum could not craft the CUP while we're holding the zone change.
Yes, they could, but only after the entire process of a CUP has been completed. It will go to Plum, but I'm just saying that under the code, they have to apply for conditional use, a zoning administrator holds a hearing, it can be appealed.
Well, that we're going to have to do. If we approve this today, that's the process they have to go through.
Correct.
All right. And I'm saying you can hold the zone change, go through the CUP, craft the CUP, and bring both back together at the same time.
Yes.
Okay, colleagues, that's what I'm going to move that we do. My motion is that we delay voting on the zone change today, that we encourage the property owner to apply for the conditional use permit, that we allow our colleagues on Plum to craft the conditional use permit with all the kinds of recommendations, Mr. Wax, that you have made, and return back to us for approval on the zone change and the CUP, accompanying CUP, at the same time.
Because they couldn't apply for the conditional use till they had a zone?
No, I thought
That's
your
exactly
question,
what I want to do, Laura.
I thought your question was approve the zone change today with a condition.
No, I only got to that because
All right,
they said
Mrs.
we couldn't
Mrs.
hold
Chick,
it. I'd love to do
your
what
time
you're
is
saying.
up.
Do you second my motion then?
Absolutely.
Point of information, Mr.
City Attorney,
They can't do it in a non-commercial.
if the zone change is not approved today, can they apply for conditional use permit without the zone change?
My belief is that they can only apply for it if they have a commercial zone. You need the zone change.
So in other words, the initial motion that Mr. Wax made is the correct one. They have the
That's
zone
correct.
change
That's
contingent
correct.
upon approval, and it's the same thing, Laura.
All right,
Because it says it's only in the commercial zone.
who's going to move the previous question? Ms. Galanter. Ms. Galanter moves the previous question. Prepare.
I'm asking for a no vote on the call for the question.
Point of order. We need definitive clarification. Is it the way Mr. Wax moved it, or is it the way I moved it? We both want the same thing. Which is the way we do it?
I'm deferring to planning to, because they're interpreting the code as to the requirements under the zone. So let us have a
It
moment to check.
accomplishes the same thing in a different way.
Correct.
All right, Mr. Hernandez, you have the floor.
And again, it's a process question. I want to make sure we understand what we're voting for on the amendment.
Look at swap.
And I know planning's busy.
Sorry.
Members of the council, yesterday Mr. Burnson said he'd been on the Plum Committee forever, and I believed him. And the reality is, I want to make sure that if we approve the amendment before us, what it requires is that a new application for conditional use permit is taken out, that application goes through the process, that process includes the public hearings, that process includes, if it's appealed to the Plum Committee, and that process includes it coming to the full
And
council.
the zone change doesn't become effective until the conditional use permit is approved by the council.
Okay. I just want to make sure that that process is what we're voting on. I think part of what has concerned a lot of people is perception that that process wasn't applied in this regard when it came back before us. And so I just want to make sure that that's the process that we are voting for as part of the amendment. And I'd like staff to address that.
Can you do that?
Under 1224C28(1) for for an indoor swap meet, it does need to be in the C or M zones. So you would need to have a C zone before you could apply for a conditional use for an indoor swap meet.
Okay.
So now advise us which way to get to where we want to go.
What it means is we have to do it Mr. Wax way.
So if you want to wait for the conditional use in order for the zone change to take effect, the better way would be to impose a condition to that effect.
Condition on the vote, A condition on the vote, right? On the request.
Okay.
On the zone change.
On the zone change. A
Ms.
condition on the
Galanter.
zone change.
Mr. Galanter?
You already did the...
In English, what I think Ms. Burge just said to us. I think what you said is the better way to do this is that we approve the zone change contingent upon a conditional use permit being approved, which means we've approved it, they can apply for it, but they can't get it until they have the conditional use permit.
That's correct.
And that, I believe, is the way we framed Mr. Wax's motion.
That's correct.
Okay.
All right, is that motion before us?
That's the motion.
All right, let's prepare the roll on the motion.
On the motion.
Tabulate the vote.
10 ayes, 2 noes.
That is approved. Is that it?
Thank you. Forthwith.
Forthwith. Okay, the next item,
Item number 17, call special by Councilmember Burnson.
Mr. Burnson.
Hold my time. Hold my time, would you
Yeah,
please?
it's held, it hasn't
Okay.
started yet.
Can we get somebody from the CRA up here? I want to know if this budget involves any bonding for paying of salaries. Does this budget, you want to get up there, Ron?
It's because he's not up there, all right.
Sergeant, would you please try to quiet everybody down?
Hal, could you push your button again, just so the machine will pick it up here? Thank you.
Can we have some quiet?
Okay, let's go.
Okay. Can we have Mr. Deaton here also in the CAO? Does this budget require any sale of bonds to pay salaries? Yes or no? I want a yes or no.
Well, the 60-day extension that's before you does not.
Does not. And that's all that's before us? Is a 60-day extension?
Correct.
So you can pay salaries and so forth in the meantime?
That's
Is that
correct.
right? Okay, I don't have a problem with that.
All right. Are we ready? Don't say anything, Mr. Malloy. Anybody else? Call the roll.
Wait, hold on for a second.
Oh, sorry. Mr. Ridley Thomas.
Madam President, I'm sorry.
What? Okay.
Is this pursuant to the committee meeting yesterday? Mr. Savornich, maybe you can give us a thumbnail because it was a significant discussion that we were engaged in, and on my time and then yours as well.
Thank you, Madam President, Mr. Ridley Thomas, and for yielding time. Yesterday, members, we had a lengthy meeting in the Housing Community Redevelopment Committee of this council in regards to the issues pertaining to the delay in the Community Redevelopment Agency's budget making its way through council committee and to this council. As you know, heretofore, this budget had been to the council in the early spring, but because of some considerations that the CRA board had in regards to restructuring the agency, it took longer to get here. One of the issues to which we were discussing yesterday in committee was the further attrition of CRA employees and what that attrition would mean to the 30 various project redevelopment areas across the city, those areas and those neighborhoods and those communities that are in most need of redevelopment assistance in our city. Presently, there was also a discussion in regards to the use of approximately $1 million of a proposed bond floating endeavor, which would be used for project delivery and or administrative costs, and that policy some of you may take exception to. However, it was within both board policy and city policy to undertake that endeavor. One of the major considerations, however, that was raised towards the end of the meeting was the current negotiations between the administrator and the board in regards to the administrator's employment contract. And one of the things that the committee did articulate very well to the commission representatives that were there, that we would like to have, and it was so mentioned in a motion that I introduced yesterday, to have a status report at the HCR meeting of July 14th on what the intentions of the board were in regards to the administrator's contract, as well as having a review back in 30 days to the HCR committee in regards to the budget as a whole, as well as the issues regarding bonded indebtedness of the budget. Madam President, members of the council, I think there still needs to be a lot of work undertaken in regards to some of the outstanding issues regarding the redevelopment agency. Mr. Ridley Thomas clearly articulated in a letter to the committee some of those concerns which were expressed by the chair and by Mr. Alatorre and by Ms. Walters in regards to some of our concerns. We all know very well, and as I clearly mentioned in committee yesterday, that it is indeed the redevelopment agency that has brought hope to portions of this city which heretofore have not had it. And we had serious concerns in regards to that hope being jeopardized by some of the issues and some of the delay in regards to the budget and the administrator's contract. With that, Madam Chair, I believe my time is up, and I will
Your time
yield
is
back
up.
to my
And
colleague
can you
on
just
my
give
time.
me a yes or no? Are you recommending that we approve item 17?
I would recommend that we approve
Yes or
item
no?
17
Thank you.
and encourage the reports to come forth within the next 2 weeks
Thank
and a
you.
month on the other
Mr.
issues.
Ridley Thomas.
Thank you, Madam President, and to Mr. Savornich for offering the explanation that he did. All of us appreciate how significant this matter is when we think of no less than 30 redevelopment project areas in the city of Los Angeles. What's the precise number, Mr. Malloy?
31 adopted project areas.
31. I don't know any member of the council here who would think that his or her project area is less important than anyone else's. And so I take from that the sense that all of us are committed to making sure that these redevelopment project areas perform in the most effective way possible. From my point of view, that means then that they have to be fully and effectively staffed, that there has to be continuity in the leadership of the agency, as well as the staff has to be caused to be accountable in terms of performance in the respective areas of work. There is, I think, Mr. Savornich, a discussion about reorganization afoot in the agency and the contracting out of consultant services to assist in that regard. Was that discussed at all yesterday in the meeting? And what's the disposition of the committee with respect to that matter?
In regards to that issue, the committee had some serious concern in regards to piecemealing away some of the functions which are currently being undertaken by CRA staff.
Well, Mr. Savornich's point, Madam President, is one that I would be concerned with, and I wonder if, in fact, the work to contract out services for the purposes or the purpose of reorganization ought not come to the HCR committee for the purposes of review prior to that happening. I don't know that that's inconsistent with the wishes of the committee, Mr. Savornich, and to the extent that that is desirable, I would so move. In that way, Mr. Burnson, some of the concerns that you have raised can come back to us for disposition. I did. Any reorganization plan of the agency has to come back, and no one should be contracted with prior to that. And so the action of the committee should, in fact, entail that particular piece if it hadn't been articulated up to this point. All right? I would so move. Right. It's been moved and seconded, Mr. Thanks.
Yes, Ms. Goldberg would like to speak. Oh, I didn't hear you.
Phone's not
I
on.
only heard
Here we
Mis-
go. It's 'cause
I
the
only
mic
heard
wasn't on.
Mr. Burnson calling for the
No, Ms.
roll.
Goldberg, go ahead.
I think we need to be very cautious in how far we want to take on this agency. We are still working, I think, on a plan to consolidate departments and so forth, but that has not been done yet. And in the interim, I think that there are some serious fiscal problems. And I believe the board is trying to address them. And I think that that is a very important step to whatever happens as we go forward. I'm a little concerned that we're trying to review things before the board does it. Our normal process now has been for the board to take an action, and then it comes to committee, and then it gets reviewed. Are we now going to review things and then give them direction? Is that what is contemplated by this?
Response.
Yeah.
Yes, my position is quite clear, Ms. Goldberg, to the extent that the board makes decisions that adversely affect the projects for which the constituents that I represent have made an investment and have a commitment to seeing through. I think I'm duty-bound to do whatever it is reasonable to make sure the decisions are made in a way that I can support.
So rather
And
than follow our normal process, we're now going to depart from that process.
Well, I didn't know
And
that.
not wait until they've acted for it to come through committee and then to come to council. I don't support that.
I'm prepared to respond, but I can do it
Well,
one
can I
time.
suggest, Mr. Ridley Thomas, since you're already up here again, that you respond when we get back
I'm not
to you?
saying we should give up our right or our authority to review any reorganization or anything else, but right now what happens is the agency acts, it goes to HCNR, and then it comes to council. I think that is the appropriate
Well, we have two motions on the
process.
floor. We have the motion to adopt the budget, and then we have Mr. Ridley Thomas's
Well, no,
motion.
we're not adopting the budget, it's an extension,
All right,
yeah.
it's an extension. So the first motion is to extend the operation for 60 days, and the second motion is to have the committee, have the various reports and any reorganization plan come back to us
I don't have
before
any-
they do it, and have contracting coming back.
I don't have any problem if it comes to us before it is completed. I misunderstood then. I thought we were talking about us taking an action and sending it to them. If it's us reviewing their actions, I've never had a problem with that. I think that's what we've been doing, but that's not what I thought I just heard.
Okay.
Well, the commission will take an action. It goes then to HCNR for review, and then it comes to council. As long as that's what we're continuing to do, I have no problem with
I
it.
believe that's correct, subject to the caveats that were in the other motion. All right, Mr. Hernandez.
Thank you. Mr. Malloy, in reading the report that you wrote, and I know it was a difficult report to write in regards to the budget that's before the commission, I'm trying to understand, what does the Central City cap mean? Are we making any more money out of Central City for administration?
Under the settlement on the Central City, we are allowed to use annually, pursuant to that settlement, a limited amount of dollars for agency administration. I believe it's $750,000 a year from the.
750,000. So of that, so under the central, and members of the council, I just want us to understand this, that under the central city CRA area, because of the cap, we generate about $750,000 worth of administrative dollars.
That is the limit that was imposed in the settlement that we entered
Now,
into.
is staff spending $750,000 or more in the central city area?
I haven't, I believe that if you apportioned all of the staff activity across the face of the agency and looked at what we're doing in the central city, that you would have at least that much in the central city.
So we're spending more than that?
I don't have an exact figure because I wasn't prepared for
Yeah,
that.
but where does that more come from?
Well, for all of the agency budget, we have looked at all of our funding resources, including interest income, lease revenues, loan repayments, and so forth, and have pieced together a budget that covers the entire 200-person agency staff from,
Right.
from those resources.
Yeah. Members of council, I want you to be aware of this issue because from my perspective, part of what's going on here is the agency is basically using monies from all the other areas and all the other programs that we had to continue to sustain their activity in the central city. Now, that might not be a real accurate picture, but it's kind of the direction of the picture that is happening. Because if the cap was lifted, then the central city CRA area would be doing the opposite, supporting the rest of the city's projects. Right, but I wanted to explain that because that's part of the agency's problem. Now, the commission, I'm not sure, is looking at it from that perspective. So when we're talking about staff reductions, part of my concern, and I know we're losing them because of retirement and so forth, but there's less positions. Clearly, it'll be impacting all our areas. And see, projects like the Staples Centers are taking up a lot of that administrative cost. That's our reality. And we are not being compensated for that. Now, that is going to have a strong effect on projects like the Coliseum. It's going to have a strong effect on communities like Pico Union, too. And I think that is part of what I want to bring to everybody's attention because the board is going to have to address those issues because if they don't, I think we will as a council.
Okay, thank you. Next, Mrs. Chick.
Yes, I think it's already been clarified, my question on the recommendations number 2 and 3, where one is to the commission to work on the budget and work plan, and the other is to the CAO and CLA, that they will then come together and we perhaps will have a comparison. We might not have exactly the same recommendations, but one is not going to supersede the other. I got it, Mr. Zvornich. Okay, good. But I do want to add that while I, of course, very much care about the agency's work in my district and on a very tight budget, it's been doing important things, that I think we all need to be concerned with the survival of the agency and the well-being of the agency, which includes caring for its employees, but the economic viability, enduring and ongoing, since many of you colleagues experience the benefits and good work of the CRA to a much greater degree than I do, I would think that you very much agree with that enduring beyond our being here and representing our districts, the CRA needs to continue as a very healthy and viable economic tool, and I think to that purpose, we all need to join forces with the agency's administration, its workforce, the commission, the committee, et cetera, and I look forward to the 30-day time period when we can roll up our sleeves and put a viable budget in place. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Zvornich, for the second time. You're coming. You're up
Thank you,
next.
Madam President, members of the council. I think the other issue that needs to be brought to the council's attention is the only reason that this issue is being debated here in council or in committee yesterday or in council last week is because this council, Mr. Alatorre, introduced a motion to bring this issue before us. Otherwise, this issue would have never been here, and the new budget year would have arrived, and a budget would not have been adopted, or if it would have been adopted, we would have just found ourselves in the place where we find ourselves today with these continuing budget resolutions. But we have to remember is that according to and I guess it was and someone mentioned it in committee yesterday, I believe it's the agreement between the city and the agency when these budgets need to be before us, is that was earlier on in the spring. And now we find ourselves almost 6 months later when this should all have been considered, and we still don't have a resolution in regards to the budget. And what is even more troubling, Madam President, members of the council, as I look into the audience, I don't see a representative from the commission here, and here we are discussing their budget. They were here last week, they were at committee yesterday, but here we are talking about the budget, and they're not here today. And so what gives me concern is that unless this council was proactive in regards to the issues regarding the redevelopment agency, we would have never even have discussed this. And I find that disturbing. So, Madam President, members of the council, I would ask that we vote yes on the committee report today, because I do believe within the committee report there are some issues that we have addressed that the agency board and staff need to respond to us in a very timely manner.
Mr. Holden, for the first time.
Mr. Malloy, the action before us today is adopting a 60-day continuing authorization for the fiscal year 99-2000. Was this voted on by the CRA commissioners?
Yes.
Why are they not here to speak in favor of it?
I don't know the answer to that.
I'm not prepared to vote on this until they are here. Maybe we continue to Friday. There's some additional questions I'd like to ask. Today, it'll still be in effect no matter what action we take by Friday, but it seemed to me at least that they should be here. There's no one here. I mean, they put you in the hot seat. I mean, you're used to that. But I'm not used to it for you. So I think that it's just my judgment, that you really should have them here to back you up. I think they should be here. Mr. President, members, I'm just not prepared to vote on this today. And if I have to vote on today, I would just not vote on it. I think that we should have them here. I have some other questions about some of the memorandums and things that have been going on. I just want to know that we all dealing from the same deck. Then I move that we continue. Do I get a second? Until Friday. Good.
All right, Ms. Goldberg seconded it. All right, I have 3 more people who want to speak. Mr. Burnson.
Yes. Look, let's be honest about this. The fact of whether we make this budget doesn't necessarily affect projects that are ongoing. The truth of the matter is, if it wasn't for Bunker Hill, there would be no cost to cover the administrative costs of the CRA. Now, I am under no circumstances going to support any bond issue. The budget's got to be reined in, and there are ways of doing this. The ways of doing it are not to have duplication of services. We have 2 planning departments, one for the city and one for the CRA. There's about $1 million right there. If you want to talk about the shortfall in the budget, there it is right there, just that one item. And there are other departments that can be tied in together. Now, I realize there are some that are necessary to be done in-house so you can effectively deal. But, members of the council, I think we need to move forward today to approve the 60-day extension. I am not in any way, shape, prepared. I don't ever want the council to become the CRA. I'm not going to be part of that. We don't need that. We have enough problems as it is. What we do need, and I think that our current director has made every effort since he's here to try to bring the ship in order. I'm not criticizing. I recognize there are some problems. He's trying to do his job. And at the same time, we have employees we have a $1 million shortfall in the budget that is basically salaries. Now, we're not going to lay these people off, although there are some maybe that would want to do that. I don't want to do that. I would rather see them absorbed and transferred into the city departments where we can bring that into order by attrition and not have to affect anybody being laid off. And we can still get the job done. But I want to make it very clear, as far as the CBD is concerned, the only action left in the Central Business District Plan is debt service. Is that not correct?
As I said earlier, we are allowed...
Just a yes or no, basically, is all I really need there.
Well, it's debt service and an amount for administration that
Yeah.
is allowed.
And what amount is that?
$750,000 a year.
$750,000 a year?
Yes.
Isn't $750,000 a year the amount that was allowed on the original approval for
Yes.
10 years? So what you're saying is the administrative thing was the original whole year's original approval. My God.
No. Under the settlement with Mr. Bernardi,
I don't-
we're
look,
allowed...
Look, I don't want to,
That's what
we're
we're
not
allowed.
going to debate
Wait,
this. I'm just,
either we're going to, either
I have
ask him the question and let him answer, or let's
Oh, I
not
asked-
debate it and let's move on.
I asked for a yes or no, okay?
Well, he
At-
gave
at-
you that.
At any rate, look, I don't have any problem with this coming back, being continued for a day or two. I think we need to pay those salaries, but they need to come up, the commission has to come up with a plan in conjunction somehow with the director and try to work this out, because I'm telling you, there's not going to be votes for a bond issue to pay salaries. It's just not going to happen.
Thank you. Ms. Goldberg. Yeah, go ahead.
If we're going to postpone this, I don't need to speak on it, but when it comes back in the summary, I do want someone to explain to me what it says by the proposed action adopts the agency's 2000 budget and work program as presented to the board on June 30th. I thought that wasn't what we were doing, so when it comes back, I need clarification on that.
All right, let me ask Mr. Malloy then, before we go on. Is there a problem if we continue this until Friday?
We've got to get it done before the end of the month here. That's the...
Well, all right, let me ask the clerk then. Is there a problem since it's CRA? This is not one that involves transfer of our money, so it's not a problem if we can. All right, Mr. Ridley Thomas.
Let me.
I'm sorry.
Let
Go
me
ahead.
just say, because I didn't realize we had taken, we could, as far as I'm concerned, we should approve today the 60-day continuation but interim budget, and then refer everything else, because that's the only action we actually have to take to make sure that there's a budget and people
All right.
get paid.
Now, let's
So we should
clarify.
do
I
just
believe
that
that
part
the
of it.
motion we have two motions before us, one of which is essentially an amendment. The first one is a motion to approve a 60-day continuation of the agency's budget. Clarify for me if I'm wrong. And the second one is Mr. Ridley Thomas's motion, which is to condition that upon the CRA not entering into any contracts before coming back to the agency board and the council.
For a reorg...
Madam, point of
Go ahead.
information, Mr. Chairman, or the maker of the motion, my understanding was the continuance of the entire item till
Well,
Friday.
that was my understanding originally, and somebody corrected me a few minutes ago.
Well, the
So
maker of
let's
the
be
motion
clear
needs to
what-
clarify his intent.
I move that we continue to Friday, would
No,
not
I know
delay...
you did, and
would
we're
not
going to
delay
vote on that
anything.
before we do anything else, but Mr. Ridley Thomas has...
Commissioners should be here.
Yeah, I know.
So we get
Nate-
an understanding.
Nate, Mr. Ridley Thomas has the floor. I'm sorry, Mrs. Walters hasn't spoken yet.
Madam Chair, thank you very much. I want to know what it is that those requesting it to be held over to Friday expect to have on Friday that is
Commissioners.
not before us.
Commissioners. That's...
Well, I don't know what the commissioners could add to this discussion. This is a report from the special meeting yesterday, where we had quite a lengthy discussion about it, and anything we could pass this report and then ask the commissioners to come on Friday or next week or whenever. But I don't see that we need the presence of commissioners before we vote on this report.
Mr. Ridley Thomas.
Madam President, I think the hour draws a little late here, and there are several other items to be dealt with. Hopefully,
noticed.
the questions that some of us wish to have answered can be answered between now and the next meeting, which is the Friday. Thank you. And I would support the continuance, and I do think it should be as clear as possible that there are substantial issues in play here, some of which are driven by members of the Board of Commissioners. And it would seem to me it would be worthwhile to have them here so that an open, frank exchange as to the direction and indeed the destiny of this agency can be put before all of us for appropriate disposition. So I would rise to support continuance of the entire matter until Friday.
Okay. Now then, there being no more speakers, the first motion before us is the question of whether to continue this until Friday with a request to the commissioners to at least send one of them to help Mr. Malloy answer these questions. Open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
10 ayes, 1 no.
Okay, that passed. So the entire item, we get to do it all again on Friday, along with the amending motion, which was the contracting issue. So all of that is continued. You are. All right. Let's take a vote on 35 and 36. Thank you. Those were the next two items up. Open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
All right. And one of those, which one? One of those had to go forthwith. 35 forthwith, please. 38 is the next item.
Was 37 called special?
No, it wasn't.
No.
37, I believe, has already been approved.
It was on the TV.
Oh, well, it's not on here. Okay, item 38. Does anybody wish to be heard on item 38? In that case, open the roll. Close the roll.
10 ayes.
Thank you. You have to tabulate the vote. Okay, that one I believe also had to go forthwith. Forthwith on that, please. And the next item is item 45. Mr. Fewer appears to... Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam President. I just wanted to rise to call our attention to a great program that deserves some notoriety. You know, all of us on this council have been grappling with the complicated issue of improving race relations in our city. And number 45 pertains to the Shoulder to Shoulder program. This is a program that's relatively new. It's a joint project of the Human Relations Commission and the school district. The idea behind Shoulder to Shoulder is to target children, kids of middle school age, who are in their formative years, and bring them together across geographic, racial, ethnic, and class lines in teams to focus on after-school and summer projects of community service so that they can learn to go way beyond the vocabulary of tolerance, learn to actually understand and respect and appreciate each other. I'm very proud of our role in this program. And item 45 simply accepts a donation to take another one of these projects forward. And that's a project with Spark to create murals at the airport. And there are a series of other projects planned for the fall. Again, in our city, these kids, from public and private schools, by the way, would otherwise rarely come in contact with children different from themselves. From this program, this concerted shoulder-to-shoulder action, ideally will grow momentum in our city among our young people to reach out far beyond the artificial boundaries that sometimes are placed on all of our interaction as adults. So I rise to state strong support for this and to state again with pride that Shoulder to Shoulder, I think, is gaining momentum and going to become a real model project in our city. I want to thank again our Human Relations Commission staff who are with us as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Wax.
Excuse me, I'm glad that Mr. Fuhrer called this special. And obviously, I'd like to echo his sentiments. It's interesting that it's once again an arts program. In Miss Baca and Spark have a long history of using mural programs and others to bring people together, not only of all backgrounds, working shoulder to shoulder cooperatively on something, but also to take in many situations people who've had troubled pasts and give them job skills and provide them with positive things to do. the Great Wall, the probably the longest mural in the United States, which exists near Valley College, and I think now is actually your district, Mr. Fuhrer, was the creation of Spark and Ms. Baca years ago, and was worked on over a period of several summers, where it really took the history of California from its inception to modern day, and went through in an art program an extraordinarily meaningful educational mural that really involved young people in the making of the mural, in the coordinating of it, and the execution of it, so they are uniquely qualified to work with the Human Relations Commission on a project like this. Very often you will find that arts and cultural projects are among the very best ways to have the interaction of people, not only in the execution of the programs, but in the fact that these programs do a great job of expressing who people in a society and a culture are in a very public and meaningful way. So I think this is a great program. I'm glad you called it special, and I'm really happy to be able to endorse it and hope that we can find a lot more programs like this.
Thank you, Mr. Wax. Would the clerk open the roll on the amending motion? Close the roll.
10 ayes.
Okay, open the roll on the amended motion. Close the roll.
10 ayes.
Okay, next is 46A and C, and I believe those are closed session items? Okay, at this time, yes, Mr.
Here, for the special council meeting that was scheduled at 10:30, it was item number 1 on that meeting.
Oh, we have special one, excuse me.
We're supposed to call the special council meeting
When is the special meeting?
right now.
Oh, right now, okay.
We have to-
We'll recess the regular meeting for
Or
the
continue
special
the
meeting.
regular meeting
But
so
now
that
we
we-
want to take up a special one. Oh, C, D, and E's committee, okay. You want to give that report, please,
Right.
Mr. Hernandez?
And if we could, the reason we had to schedule it on a special meeting, it's an application that's due on June 25th, and staff's been working on it. It is probably our last brownfield application, if I'm correct. And I'd like staff to give a quick report.
Good morning. Let me just make a few words. I'm Lillian Kawasaki, General Manager of the Environmental Affairs Department and a member of the city's Brownfields team. We're here today to seek your approval to allow us to submit an application to HUD for a Brownfields Economic Development Initiative grant, what we call Betty grant, and we do this on behalf of the city. As was mentioned, the deadline is soon. It's June the 25th, and we want to thank you for this expeditious consideration.
Back to Rose.
Let me explain, though, that we originally thought that we were not going to have a competitive application, and therefore we were not going to apply. And I must tell you, it's been the tenacity of the city staff to go back and try and get every dollar for this city, as well as the cooperation of HUD, that we have before you what we believe is a competitive grant application, one that would be prudent, that we hope will get a minimum of 1,000 new jobs in low income and moderate income. And so we would urge your approval, and we're here to answer any questions you might have.
Okay. Seeing nobody wishing to speak, will the clerk please open the roll on this report? Close the roll.
10 ayes.
Thank you. We'll now recess this meeting and reconvene our regular meeting.
Thank you, Mr. President.
We'll take up special one. Will clerk please read special one?
Special one is a motion presented by Councilmember Goldberg and seconded by Councilmember Ferraro, and the city attorney will explain the need to make the findings.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. On Sunday, June 6th, at about 10:30 at night, a Teresa Del Rio was shot and killed while making a U-turn on Commonwealth Boulevard, which intersects with Los Angeles Community College. The police department has asked for this because they have strong leads, but they're asking for help regarding the identity of the shooter, and therefore the council need to make the finding.
Okay, very good. Would the clerk open the roll on this item, please? On the findings first. 10. Okay, now would the clerk open the roll on special one? Got it? What are the...
10 ayes.
10 ayes, okay, that's approved. Forthwith. Okay, without objection, forthwith. Okay, we will now go into, Oh, yeah, we'll do the public comments first. We have one card on public comment, and that is Larry Ross. Mr. Ross, you have 2 minutes. Not for each item. Can we take this over?
Mic on? Now it is. My name is Larry Ross. Since you had limited my time so severely to 2 minutes, I don't see how it harmonizes with the course. Anyhow, I've been hearing talk concerning things that should not be said, and I have been observing things that should not be taking place in the city of Los Angeles and in the county areas of Los Angeles, such as ideas, works, and projects of mine are being shown on major networks, including Channel 2, Channel 4, Channel 5, Channel 7, Channel 9, Channel 11, and Channel 13. I'm hearing radio stations such as Coast, Omega 1, Omega 100, KACE, amongst others, playing ideas belonging to me. Now the question is, how have they come into possession of my ideas, works, and projects? How my ideas and works and projects are being ripped off? What is the method being used? That will be revealed later. But for now, the fact is that my works and ideas and projects are being ripped off within the city, with the knowledge of the city council members. Because I have stood here on numerous occasions and brought this information to your attention. But thus far, nothing at all has been done. Therefore, according to the law, you can be implicated in the criminal activities. There's no way that any laws can be suspended against one individual or against a group of individuals. Because the Bible, as well as the Constitution of the United States, clearly states that a man is worthy of his labor. What a man works for, he has a legal right to enjoy, to possess, and to use as he or she see fit to do so with. But obviously the idea in play at this time is that if you are bigger and more powerful than one individual, if you're in a group of individuals, it's okay to go up against one individual and try to subject that individual to things that is in violation of law. I am speaking at the state level when I say the state constitution condemns such activities. I go to the federal level, and I clearly can state with certainty that U.S. Constitution condemns such activities. The Supreme Court had made many rulings on the effect, or to the effect, that individuals have a right to enjoy their labors. We have copyright laws, we have patent laws, we have trademark laws. And once those laws are infringed upon or encroached upon, then you better believe those who have done the violation will have to give an accounting to the individual to whom they have violated. So let me conclude by saying, yesterday when I was at the Board of Supervisors, I brought to their attention once again.
Please conclude quickly because your time is up.
I am going to conclude very quickly, as soon as you allow me to. When I was at the Board of Supervisors meeting yesterday, I brought to their attention the same information that I am bringing to yours today, that my ideas, work, and projects are being ripped off. It is against the law. Therefore, what is the city council members are going to do about it? Are they going to continue to act as if they are dumb, stupid, and ignorant? See no
Mr.
evil,
Ross, your time is up. Thank
hear
you.
no evil, and speak no
Would
evil.
you cut the microphone off, please? Thank you. Your time is up.
Microphone off all you want to.
I've given you more than your time now. Please conclude.
Mr. President. Mr. President.
Yes, Ms. Goldberg.
I'd like to move that we reconsider special item 1 in order to make an amendment that the sum of $25,000 be allocated.
What was it
instead of
originally?
$10,000. It was a $10,000
Okay,
report.
without objection, the item is
should be
reconsidered.
25, it was
Without
20.
objection, the matter is reconsidered.
And I'd like to amend
Okay.
item 4 so that it will say the sum of
Any objection to the amendment?
$25,000.
So ordered.
And
Okay.
also in the last
Very
paragraph
good.
as well. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Wax.
Are we going to have a quorum for this executive session, or is this urgent? We have one, sir. Huh? Do you have a move to continue?
No. We don't, no.
This has to do with the Tipton Whittingham, and the office needs some direction from the council.
How much direction does this office need, Mr. Burnson?
All they can get.
We're about to set a record with this particular matter, are we not?
Yes.
We've
Why don't
been
we?
here-
Well, the court has acted, and
You ought to order,
its
Ms. Weingart.
actions- so-
Okay, let's go in. Why don't we go into executive session, get it over with? Would everybody not involved in this particular matter please leave the council chambers? Would Mr. Hernandez please come up here and take?
Are we back in open session at this time? Okay, we are back in open session at the, yeah, we're back in open session at this time. Madam Clerk, any other items on the agenda?
Motions for posting and referral.
Okay,
And that clears the desk, Mr. President.
clear the test. Do we have any adjourning motions at this time? Everybody please stand. Ms. Goldberg?
Yes, I'd like to ask that we close council today in memory of Rachel Elias Carrion. She passed away June 6th in her sleep. She was a longtime resident of the Temple Beverly area. She is survived by her sons Bobby, Michael, Vincent, and Gabriel, and her daughter Irene.
Okay. Any other adjourning, Mr. Swartz?
Yes, thank you, Mr. President, members of the council. I would like to ask that we adjourn in memory of Jake Kushiba, who was a faculty member at San Pedro High School for more than 30 years, having first entered the Los Angeles Unified School District as a teacher at Richard Henry Dana Junior High School, and in 1969 moving to San Pedro High School. Was a faculty advisor for numerous campus organizations, later serving as a counselor, and finally a dean. I have known Jake since 1976 and my sophomore year at high school. We remained friends for all of these many, many years, and just 6 days ago went to the hospital saying he wasn't feeling well, was diagnosed with terminal cancer, and passed away. Was a very loving man, was one of those in life that made quite an impression on me as a young man, and was one of those persons to which I aspired to be like in my lifetime. His services are pending.
Mr. Wax?
I'd like the council to adjourn in the memory of Max Demoff, who's the father of my friend Marv Demoff, and I'll give the clerk the pertinent information.
Okay. Will the clerk please call the roll? Okay. Thank you. Meeting adjourned.